Hello everyone. So today I have a giveaway campaign with KNF Concept, and we are giving away 4 filters. So we will have two winners announced. More information in the description below. But basically, I'm gonna just go through a couple points. Each winner can choose two different stops from 1A, 1/4, 1/2, and 1 stops, and then they will have a total of 4 filters in price. So two winners will be announced, and the time will be, so today is the 5th in California time, and will be announced on the 11th Central time. So who can join the campaign? So the first one, you can like this video, and if you feel this helpful tips later on in the slides, you can share this to your friends as well. So, and you must subscribe to my channel and KNF Concept YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe to both of our channel, and comment below on how you feel about the black diffusion filters with the hashtag KB Black Diffusion hashtag, and I will choose randomly on that date next week. So stay tuned. And then I will go through a couple tips on the black diffusion filter. So a black diffusion filter is just a spectral effect filter that reduces highlights and slightly lower the scene's overall contrast. So in fact, it just create a nice softer vintage look, basically. So if you bloom the highlights, so as you can see that this picture, the highlights on the backlights with the background, if you bloom the highlight, add in a glowing effect on the background, and it's very good for the backlight portraits. And this one on the right hand side, you can see the strong sunlight on the hash light on the ground in the background. If you don't have the diffusion filter right here, the strong light on the right hand side of the image will be too strong. So with the diffusion filter, you can shoot at strong sunlight, like even in midday as well. So the diffusion filter will help the strong midday shooting. So if you cannot choose certain time slot and you have to choose midday as the schedule to shoot your portrait, it's good to have a diffusion filter in your bag and then just choose it. And next one is create a soft pastel effect. You can see that it pastel soft color reminds me of those vintage film. So you can add it at layer of the vintage film style for your portrait. And the front light and the back light creates a totally different look, as you have seen these couple samples pictures. And the color as well. So you can, if you choose a certain color like red and green, it just added a pastel look. It will look a little bit less red and a little bit less green. So it had a vintage washed out look for your vintage style portraits. So that's another one. So the third one is slightly reduce the contrast and then slightly softening the shadow area. You can see the bokeh area right above the head is slightly less glowing than the highlight area on the bottom half of the image in the background. It's because it just slightly soften the shadow. It's not too strong softening. However, the focus area still remain very sharp. It won't affect the focus area. For this picture, I used the 1/8 stop on the 35mm lens. You can see that the focus area is still very sharp on that. So it's a good thing that it won't affect the focus area. So that's one of the good thing. And then you can see this one and slightly different bokeh. The bokeh is smaller because this is 23mm versus the 35mm in the previous shot. And the highlight area and then the shadow is slightly softened. The highlight area will be a little bit stronger. And this one I want to demonstrate the focus area. It still remain pretty sharp, and on the leaf, all the roses leaves on the right hand side of the image, those dark shadow area slightly softened. So it creates a nice overall balance of the strong hash light right around the head area and slightly softened leaves right next to the portrait. So it creates a nice balance, dark versus light. And I want to talk about a little bit of the focal length, when to use which stop, because there are 4 choices from the K&F: 1/8, 1/2, 1/4, 1 stop. And what I concluded a little bit based on my experience of the shooting the last 5 or 6 shoots, if the focal length is less than 35mm full frame, like Fujifilm 16mm is equivalent to 24mm, about that, and then Fujifilm 23mm is about 35mm. So I will just use 1/4, 1/2, 1 stop. You can even use 1 stop on this wide angle like this 116 f1.4. It still create a nice soft tone, but if it's not overall power the front focus area, because if it's 1 stop on it already have a bokeh lens, that will be too soft for me. So that has to keep in mind with that. Here's another example of the 35mm full frame. It's a Sony full frame mirrorless 35mm f1.4 GM lens with 1 stop. So you can even use 1 stop on that. And 1 stop is really strong, and just keep in mind this Sony lens already has some bokeh, and you can see that the effect on the car that reflected a strong sunlight. Usually if there's no diffusion filter on this lens, it will be too bright on the lower left corner of the car, but because of the 1 stop, it completely softened out the strong reflection from the car. It created an extra nice element softening on that side as well. So that's one of the things I like, using a higher stop on this 35mm equivalent or less. And this is another example of the 35mm equivalent. So it's a Fujifilm 23 XF 23 f1.4. I used the 1/4 stop in there. It's the right amount of the softening, and it has the right amount of a contrast for me. So this is a good thing. Because it's a black dress, I want more contrast for the portrait. So using less stop like 1/4 or 1/8, it helps me achieve the stronger contrast if you want lighter stop for that portrait. And this is another example for the 50mm full frame or more. If you're shooting 50mm full frame equivalent or more, for example Fujifilm 35mm f1.4 with 1/8 stop for this picture, because 50mm equivalent already the background, it has a nice bokeh, like blur out a little bit more than the 35mm. So I don't think we need a very strong for this in this focal length. We just need a slightly touch, especially 1/8. I really like the 1/8 on the 50mm or up. And this is just an example that if I use a lot more, like 1/2 stop on the 56, it becomes very soft overall. Sometimes it might be too soft for certain use of the situation, but this is just an example for my reasoning that if it's 50mm or this one is 85mm equivalent, if you use 1/2 or 1 stop, the overall image might be too soft for you. So sometimes you want certain area that remains sharp. So I will recommend to use 1/4 and 1/8 on that one. So just last couple of tips, be aware of the light direction, because the light direction from the background is very important. You have to watch out when the lights are leaking from the trees. As this example, the lights was leaking through the gap of the tree on the upper left corner. So just make sure that you are aware of where the light is coming from in the environment. So each environment is different. And this one, use exposure compensation dial to adjust on the fly, because you can increase the exposure a little bit and still get a very nice and soft image because of the softening of the highlights. Just like the car, even it has a strong light, it can soften out a little bit. So basically you can adjust the exposure compensation based on the mood that you want. Sometimes you want a stronger, brighter, softening overall environment. Just increase a little bit, maybe just add a +1 to the exposure dial, just to take a couple picture and then see if it's the one that you want, the end result that you want. And make sure there's no strong harsh light directly on the face, because if you create a strong reflection on the face, and because of the diffusion effect, it has a strong, if you diffuse that light, sometimes it will block the overall image. So just like this picture is nice, soft lights on the face, and there's no strong light directly in the front of the outfit as well. So I just want to make sure the center of the portrait, it doesn't have a strong light on that, because the strong highlight, softening, glow, if you block the purpose of the whole portrait. So if you create overall better image if you don't put the strong harsh light on there. But there might be some occasional exception that you want some creative strong sunlight one. Yeah, there might be some exception based on different creativity, but these are just general tips that I want to share with you. And that's all I have. And make sure to check out the more details in the description below of the giveaway. I will announce 2 winners. I will pin the comment on the November 11th to announce the winner. So good luck, and stay tuned for more video coming up. Bye.